notice advertised on January 7, 2016. Notification was sent to the Star Ledger and promptly posted on the municipal public bulletin board and filed in the office of the municipal clerk, informing the public in time and place according to the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Law, Chapter 231, PL 1975. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Flowood Mayor and Council meeting of July 12th. At first, I'd like to make a presentation of Mayor's Certificate of Award to Mike Uylaki, please. Please step forward, sir.
Office of the Mayor, Certificate of Award, Mike Uylaki. Mike Uylaki, United States Army veteran who served in the Korean War, never received honors from the United States military. With the assistance of Congressman Leonard Lance, he was the recipient of the National Defense Medal, the Korean Service Medal with 3 Bronze Stars, and the United Service Medal. He earned these medals and they represent the gratitude and appreciation of the United States of America. Congratulations. Thank you for your service. Wish you the best in your future endeavors. Mayor Charles Memorial, July 12, 2016. And also a small token is the borough seal pin from Mr. Uylaki.
Like to say a few words about where I was and how I was in Korea. It wasn't easy, but I came back alive and I came back healthy. A lot of times didn't come back alive. And with my friend, friendship had to end sometime, I guess. I wish it never would have ended, but that's the way it goes. And I was proud that I was American. I'm glad that we have a good country. So, we'll stick with it, right?
We'll move on to our regular order of business. Borough Engineer Donald Goriello, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening.
Thank you.
Just a number of things, actually. We should be starting the sidewalk program next week. The whole south side of town is all marked out, and there's about, well, a couple of streets left on the north side we'll finish this week. So all the walks should be marked out by the beginning of next week. We have a problem, of course, as you all know, the DOT has put a lock on all DOT projects. We were supposed to start 30 of them this week. It's all ready to go, and we've kind of been told that we can't proceed. So we do have a problem there because we only have a very small window to get that work done in. And the window, of course, will get much smaller as time goes by. We're trying to get the job finished before school opens in September. There's a couple of water company projects. The water company told me today, I met with them, they're going to be redoing the main on Myrtle Avenue from Center all the way down into Westfield. We're going to increase it from a 6 to an 8. It'll also tie into the 20-inch main that runs down West Street, which will really enhance pressure in that immediate intersection of town. Right now, even though there's a 6-inch line in Myrtle, it does not tie into that main, so it will really increase water pressure in this quarter of the borough. The water company project that they completed a couple months ago, that restoration or pavement is supposed to be completed later this week, maybe the beginning of next week. We also had a property owner who was interested in the borough vacating a part of Rankin Avenue. Gina and I met with him last week out there to see what he was looking to do. Rankin Avenue is a 66-foot right-of-way, which is what pretty much almost what all the streets are now, 60 or 66.
I'm going to just pick, while he's talking, I need to throw around. I'm just going to pass out a map of what Donald's talking about, so you have visual. So you know where? So what's in front of you is the property that Mr. rail is it burns?
If you see from the sketch, because it's a one-way street, and it only has a 16, 17-foot cartway in it, and it's also the municipal boundary line, by the way, the center line of the road. All the road is in Cranford. There's no paved area in the borough of Garwood. So basically, only half of that right-of-way, 33 feet, is not being used. The only block that it's not being used in, of course, is between Lexington, Rankin, Pine, where they all come together, and the next block over, which is where it intersects Locust. From there on down, Rankin Avenue is, of course, a two-way street. From there all the way down to New Street, where it connects out to South Avenue. The gentleman wanted to know how much of the property we were willing to sell. Well, first of all, I don't think borough doesn't sell public right of way. We'd have to vacate a street, a portion of the street, or all the street, or our portion of the street. There's a couple of things that I won't say I have a problem with, but that I think you might want to think about. If we vacate only a portion of that road in front of his property, of course we don't vacate the rest of the way. So if you're going to vacate a street, you may as well vacate it from one block to the next, because it serves no purpose in the rest of the block once you start taking off pieces of it. So right now, his area, you can see on the sketch that the survey was provided to us, that the roadway is on the other, the paved part of the roadway goes all the way out into the other side of Rankin Avenue, about 5 feet off the center line. So it looks like his lot's very large, but a good part of it, maybe 40 feet, is all part of the public street, but not paved. So I just took out a couple of dimensions. I took off 6 feet, which would leave a 60-foot right-of-way. I show 16 feet coming off, which would leave a 50-foot right-of-way. I didn't go any further than that because it would be not, no matter what you do, it would be my recommendation not to reduce the right-of-way any smaller than 50 feet. So, but the borough, this is something that the gentleman would like the borough to do, and I bring it to you, not taking either side one way or the other, just giving you what the facts are. If you take off 6 feet, it's about 637 feet. If you take the whole 16 feet, it's 1,523 square feet.
So if everybody's not sure what spot we're talking about, this is 609 East Street, it's that corner coming around Lexington that just got, like the sign just got knocked down not too long ago. It looks like the lot, if you look at it standing there, is quite large, but when it's surveyed out, it literally cuts through the whole back of the yard. Has a substantial impact on the size of the yard. The people that want to purchase the house are the people who made inquiry with us, with me, to see if we could, well, we did our homework so that you would know that it's not a vacant lot. It's what Don said, so you would have to decide. I received the person inquiring is this gentleman back here, Matt. You just want to raise your hand. That's Matt. He's looking to purchase this property. He is a Garwood resident. He's looking to stay in Garwood and purchase this property, but for his family needs, he needs a fence. And if you was standing there looking at it, if you put a fence up, because the current owner have a fence, so he's got some nice shrubbery and stuff there, but with the fence where this line goes, seriously impacts the whole situation there. So I believe he's under a little bit of pressure. He just wants, they're out of their house in Garwood and they need to use it quietly.
So here's a solution anyway. I don't know if you want to consider this one. You could, first of all, everybody who owns property, owns, except in very limited circumstances, to the center of the street. However, the right to own the property is subject to the public right-of-way if the public chooses to use it. And the public usually is in the person of the municipality. In this case, the municipality has chosen not to utilize the public right-of-way as a street. So the property owner still owns the property to the middle of what would be the street. The ownership is not really a problem unless and until the borough decides that it's going to pave that street, make it into a public street, which at this point in time is, I would assume, is pretty unlikely. So, I mean, I don't, in this particular case, the problem is if you start vacating, in my opinion, if you start vacating sidelines because people want to have a bigger backyard, well, everybody who's got a corner lot essentially could, you know, widen their property by, because in almost no instances is the street paved the entire width of the street, and particularly in places where there aren't any sidewalks, there is no public use of the right-of-way. So, I mean, I don't have a problem with what you could do if you wanted to is permit them to put a fence up, understanding that at some point, however unlikely it might be, that if the street was ever going to be paved, they'd have to take the fence down. But you can allow structures in the public right-of-way. We do it downtown. We have a number of businesses that have structures, encroachments into the public right-of-way, some of which are just there, and some of which we've actually specifically permitted by resolution. So, you know, I offer that as a possible solution, is just permit them to put a fence there. They can use the property. It wouldn't look any different than it does now. You don't have all these other issues.
Hang on. Tom, my question is, you know, we're talking about water mains before and, you know, on Center Street, things like that. Is this also an area in which this property could be used if the utility companies needed to go down that road for anything?
Yes.
Is that what this is set up for?
It could be, but the problem is the utility company usually takes the shortest distance between 2 points, and I don't think they're going to go into a wooded area. This is all wooded from here all the way down to Locust Street, just about. So they're not going to. I doubt very much whether they're going to go into the wooded area and take down trees and put a main in, so that, you know, rather than use the paved area. So, but that's the purpose of a public right-of-way, is to have all the utilities in it. I don't know what utilities run down there. We don't have a sanitary sewer in there because we have no houses that are in that block. That, again, as they pointed out, the center line of the street is the municipal boundary line. Because all our properties that are on that street, it's the rear end yards of the properties, not the front yard. So all of the properties that they back into the street, they don't have frontage on. So if we have no sanitary sewer there, but there may very well be a gas main and water main in there. Then there's probably public service lines, maybe even overhead. But I agree with Bob. The solution might be to just allow the people to use it. I had mentioned that to Tina, without having to vacate it, because if we vacate it, they were talking about buying it. Well, they actually own it. As Bob pointed out, they actually have the rights to it. So how do we sell it to them? If we vacate it, they would get it automatically. They're the only people that can get that property. It's not like them or an adjacent neighbor. Usually when we sell property, it's a piece of land that's between two houses and two people can bid on it, we'll say. Well, here it's not the case. It's a part of public right of way. He has frontage on it, nobody else does. So he's the only person that's entitled to utilize that property as far as that is concerned. So I think that's what Bob mentioned is a real viable solution, rather than get involved with all the things, vacating a street and having to worry about it later on, as long as the parties know that their fences are on the public right of way. And if for example, in the most remote case, I can't imagine why the borough would choose to use that, they'd have to move their fence.
Right, or if a public utility company needed it for some reason, then they'd have to get their fence or.
Well, they may run the utility should be underground, so you know they can put the utility and still leave the fence there.
Well, I do have some thoughts on this, but I don't mean to jump ahead. Councilwoman Kukrow, I saw your hand go up before that.
She's, good.
Basically, I would recuse myself from any discussion on this matter, as it is, I'm a listing agent on this property.
Oh,
So
okay.
I
that's,
wanted to recuse herself, and I just told her.
Oh, okay.
I don't know when, what the proper,
Okay.
I didn't know when the proper time was.
Oh, okay. I saw that over there. The teacher in me, you know. Okay. You know, it's the first time I'm learning about this situation tonight, but it seems like it is a relatively time-sensitive matter.
Yeah, well,
Right,
that,
so
yeah.
my first instinct was, hey, I want to go take a look at this and see what it really looks like besides just the map, but do we really have 2 weeks until the next council meeting to do so? I thought Bob's recommendation that Don seems to agree with about not completely vacating, but allowing them to put up a fence seems reasonable. Just wondering about the time limitations.
I mean, it's not time for public speaking, but I believe at that point, Matt can tell you where he's at in this process. I believe, as he's explained to me, that this condition affects his family. So, and again, I don't know if you can allow, Bob, can they allow him to?
Well, it isn't gonna happen tonight anyway. I mean, you could tell them whether you would be willing to do it, but, I mean, they'd have to, first of all, they'd have to fill out a fence permit, they'd have to apply for the permit, and then we'd have to have it at a meeting. So the earliest you could do it would be 2 weeks from today, formal.
Yeah, I think he understands the formal part. I've explained to him that the formal process can take long, no matter what you were doing, but I think his family, can he speak? Do I have to speak for him? Can they address him?
Can I just give some thoughts on this? I mean, it's not the public speaking portion of it.
Right.
First thing is, I wouldn't be prepared to make a decision on this tonight, and if I were pushed to make a decision, it would be no. Second thing is, I wonder why this is not before the planning board. Why is this not come before the planning board?
Because they don't
They don't
sell land.
vacate streets. They don't vacate streets.
Right. They don't have authority over that.
And they can't, I don't believe they can grant a variance to put something up in a public street. Usually that comes to the borough council.
So it comes directly to us, without going before the planning board?
Well, they don't have any jurisdiction to allow something to exist in a public right of way.
Yeah, because I just don't, I haven't considered, I mean, Bobby brought up one good point about vacating the right of way and the precedent it sets. And what I want to do is I just want to think through all the different ramifications that could happen here, because not necessarily that I'm concerned about this particular property, although I am. I'm really more concerned about the precedent that's going forward. So I'm not prepared to make a decision on this tonight.
Councilman Sonic, any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to echo the same sentiment. I'm not prepared to go ahead and do that right this second. You always want to look at the property. You want to analyze all the different aspects of it. Give Bob more time to look into it if he has to, and then take an opinion from there. I think that's always the best way to do it. I know it's a time-sensitive issue, but that doesn't mean that we rush the judgment. We have to do what we have to do.
Mayor, do you have a view on this?
As Councilwoman said, the first thing I thought was basically looking at the property. I think, I would appreciate the sensitivity, but I'd really like to see what put down at the next meeting, to be honest.
Considering it seems time sensitive anyway, like Tina alluded to, I'm sure Matt will speak. I look forward to hearing from you about that. But if it's something that would be done, if it's done by resolution or something, is it something we can have on the next agenda and then we all do our homework from now until then so that we're prepared to go one way or the other at the next meeting? I would be open to that.
Is that possible?
Well, I think the first step has to be a sign permit has to be, I mean, a fence permit has to be submitted so that in other words, it'd have to be a plan. In other words, you'd have to have a plan, you'd have to have a fence, you'd have to have this is what we want to do, this is the kind of fence. Just like you would with a fence permit. I mean, fence permits don't go to the planning board as a general rule. I mean, a fence permit goes to the, I think it goes to the zoning officer.
That's correct. It does.
And then the zoning officer, I'm sure, would look at it and say, well, I can't grant this, it's in the public right of way, it would have to go to the borough council. That's really where I started from, which is it would have to, you'd have to approve it, but there'd have to be an application, an actual fence permit application submitted.
So it sounds like we're premature in doing this since we don't have that application. The other thing is, Mayor, are you comfortable having this come before the whole council? Should this go to a committee if it's going to be considered?
I think we're discussing it right now. I feel comfortable with the council.
All right. It's not the usual way that we do things. It's kind of fast tracking it.
Because of the unusual situation. I appreciate that.
Okay, but just the precedent going forward, committee purpose of the committees is to vet what it is going to be. I'm not done speaking. That is to vet what goes on. I think here, again, with this particular property, we may or may not decide to go one way or the other. My real concern is, well, what happens when the next person shows up here?
That's why we're going to do our homework in the next 2 weeks and make a final decision.
All right, I just want to have my objections noted on the record. I think this needs to go before a committee, and I think that that it's really wrong for you not to assign it to a committee.
Thank you.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Any questions, Mr. L'Oreal?
I did have one, actually, back to the 2015 DOT project. I saw that it was one of the projects listed as stopped by the governor, but then I saw an email from Ms. Ariema saying that we could actually continue without
I
work.
didn't say that.
Or,
That email did not say.
I was hoping someone would bring it up.
well, it said,
Well, I wasn't.
I mean, it said 75% has been,
I did
Taken.
draw down
Right.
75% of the funds, so I do have 75% of their money. However, that doesn't mean that if you don't comply with the executive order that, and DOT found out, they wouldn't say, give me my money back, and you wouldn't have to give it back to them. Since I sent me that email, I got
Okay.
another thing from DOT, and it says that you need to cease all DOT projects for at least a week commencing July 8th. So the contractor is calling me because he is scheduled to start tomorrow, asking me to tell him what to do. Considering that if DOT pulled their money away, you would have to pay for the whole thing, I can't make that decision, you have to. So you have to decide whether you want to stop this job and risk having to pay the whole bill, or send him away, he's gonna go to Parsippany and start a job, and he won't, our job's just gonna get delayed, I don't know, maybe Don has an idea how long.
well, I'm glad I brought it up then, because I think this is really important to talk about.
Could be a month. I mean, I have no idea how big the jobs are. I mean, our jobs, usually take about a month. It could be, instead of 500 feet, it could be 5,000 feet. So, I have no idea how big his Parsippany job is.
Hey, Don, what's the latest that we can actually start this project and still be?
I think we need 3 weeks of construction.
You have to be careful with the school year starting,
I
that block
know
of Third
that. It's,
Avenue, so
As
this
a matter of
is
fact, we
pretty
made that a
dicey.
condition of the specs that they had to
Right.
start the work in July, but, all those conditions fall apart when we tell them he can't work.
Right, absolutely.
That's the problem.
Is it, at first I was very happy to see that we drew down 75%, so worst came to worst, maybe we were on the hook for 25%. But the idea that they could ask us to give that money back,
We don't know what they would do.
Yeah, we don't know.
We don't
We don't really know.
We read everything, you have a shutdown order and an executive order, then it clearly says any DOT funded projects need to stop, and unless they're an emergency.
for a week, you said, right?
That's what it says at least, but it
That's
doesn't
probably- it
say
says
after
at
a week
least a
to
week.
start.
What does that mean?
Yeah,
Right,
it's really
oh.
not.
Is that at least on our behalf or at least on the DOT's behalf? Because the at least could be up, if you talk about the state, it could be till they pass a
Right.
bill. On our side, at least is 7 days, so,
So it sounds like 75% of this money is not ours, and we should just not do this right now until that's figured out.
Unless you're willing to take that risk and pay the whole bill.
No.
No.
you know.
No, it's just a real,
the
it's a
worst
real
is
shame
gonna happen-
considering the
Question.
situation, and that road has been an ongoing project, it's not a 1 year and done. Last year it was under construction, dealing with major potholes, and that block is just such a mess, and it's just a shame. But then I see this letter from the DOT, unless I'm reading this wrong, it sounds like we've been approved for 2016 money.
That's
We have, and that's the other thing.
It's almost, that's a little conflicting sounding to
Throw
me.
sand in their face, maybe we will get approvals for that project in the future, so.
Okay.
The worst that's gonna happen is, unfortunately, the school really is on second, it's closer to second than it is to third.
Right.
The worst gonna happen is, we may be doing work during the school season. We don't have a lot of work to do, a lot of the work is quiet, concrete, pouring concrete, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
It's not noisy. The milling is gonna be noisy for one day, but I don't know that you wanna flirt with danger and decide to do it and then have them.
No, appreciate your sentiment, but I'm glad we talked about it, because this is, the state government having an impact here in Norwood, very real impact, so we have to talk about these things. All right, sounds like it's
So you
stopped
want
for
us
now.
to stop the
Stop for now.
project until DOT tells us it's okay, is that correct?
Do we have a consensus to do that?
Yeah. You have to.
Thank you, Council.
I don't even think it's want to stop the project. I mean, it's, you're complying with the order. That's the very specific executive order that says all projects are halted, so unless you want to just pay no attention to it, I frankly
No.
question whether it's got a validity, but I'm
Don,
sure the governor thinks it does, and I don't think we want to be in a position, as Don said, where we're telling the DOT, we got their letter, but thank you, we're going to go ahead anyway.
Don, you have his number, he asked me to call him tonight.
I'll call him.
You have a cell phone number, right?
Okay, we'll move on. Mr. Renat, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's see, I did apparently the planning board met last night and adopted a resolution recommending the adoption of the redevelopment plan that the planning board adopted. I did prepare an ordinance, which is in the possession of the administrator and is ready to be introduced at your pleasure. Let's see, what else do I have? Would you like to meet with the special master on the affordable housing case? I'm going to try to get her here, if you want to meet with her, to let her talk to you and you talk to her about
absolutely.
what your concerns and thoughts are.
Is that an executive session?
I guess we could think about that. I mean, it certainly concerns litigation. I'll have to give it some thought.
Perhaps we could have both, we could have a public portion and then an executive portion?
Yeah, maybe we could. I'll have to think about it. But if we can, I'll arrange that. If I can get her here on the 26th, next week, 2 weeks from today, would you want to do that?
Sure.
I
Yes.
would not be opposed.
Okay. And
28th?
26.
26, right? And do you want to, would you like to have our planner here at the same time?
Yes, I think that would be
Yes.
valuable. Why not? If he's available.
Okay, all right, I don't know if either one of them is available, but I'll try to
Right.
line them up as soon as I can. So we'll try for that meeting, and if not, we'll try for whatever meetings are available. I did want to report, well, two things, and they're kind of related. One of them is, and again, this is still on the affordable housing matter, and I would discuss this in open session because everybody knows about it. One of the issues in the affordable housing litigation has been over what period of time are municipalities required to satisfy whatever obligation it is that they have. The Fair Share Housing Center was touting the idea, and through their experts and through their litigation, that the period of time from the end of the effectiveness of the second round rules, that is from 1999 through when this round of litigation started in 2015, which is called the gap period, which is, the reason it's called the gap period, there weren't any valid rules that existed during that 15-year period. So they were saying that we had to satisfy a prospective need, which included the gap period. And the consortium that we belong to, that you've contributed money to, twice actually, took that up on appeal, and one of the judges, the judge in Ocean County, agreed. They took it to the appellate division. The appellate division, in a unanimous appellate division decision, said there is no gap period obligation for prospective need, and that any households that had that were low or moderate income families that were formed during this gap period, this 15-year gap period, either were left or died or are presently living in substandard housing, in which case they then become part of what's called the present unit, which is the rehabilitation, the obligation of the municipality to provide for a realistic possibility of the rehabilitation of deficient housing. So it's a kind of a long explanation, but in short, it's good news because it will have a beneficial effect on reducing the obligation, the numbers obligation of municipalities to provide affordable housing. So that's a good thing. In a related development, due to its litigating all of this, the consortium has again run out of money and is going to ask you for another $2,000, for which I'll have a resolution to present for you at the next meeting, and we can discuss at that point whether you want to do that or not. I reluctantly will recommend that you do. Frankly, up until this decision, I was wondering whether I would or not, but it does appear that the consortium continues to do good work, which is going to help not just municipalities in general, but this municipality in particular. So I'll have that for you to consider at the next meeting.
Could I just mention on that, if you were at the planning board meeting last night, we were under the impression that we no longer had to contribute to that. So that came from Victor Vinagre. So you may want to just reconcile that with him and or John Fraser just to see, because we were under the impression that we were out of that. At least
I can tell you the rest of
wasn't.
the money. I'll forward you the emails and the letters and so forth. If that's the impression they have, they're wrong.
Okay.
The impression I got from last night was that we would possibly not have to join in with Berkeley Heights. Are they separate?
That's a different
That's
issue.
separate, right?
That question is, Berkeley Heights and Summit are scheduled, I think I told you this already, but if I didn't, I'll tell you now. The court has been scheduling cases for trial. Springfield and Fanwood were scheduled for trial in, I want to say August, but it might have been July. Anyway, they were scheduled, it was July or June. So anyway, they were scheduled for trial and they both settled with fair share. So the judges that are hearing this, the assignment judge, Judge Cassidy, and Judge Kenny, who is handling the cases that I guess that Judge Cassidy has conflicts on, then are basically going to go through municipalities until either everybody settles or somebody has a trial. So the next two municipalities up are Berkeley Heights and Summit. Berkeley Heights attorney last week filed, I think it was last week, could have been the week before, I'm sorry, filed a motion to consolidate all of the Union County cases for trial, meaning that instead of just Berkeley Heights having to go to trial, that everybody would have to go to trial at the same time in September. And as far as I know, that motion is still listed and hasn't been heard of. Jim said he got the impression at the planning board meeting that that had been decided, which is possible, but if it was, I haven't been so informed. So I just don't recall whether, I don't even know when the return date of the motion was. If I got it a week or so ago, it's unlikely that it's been decided already, but it could have been expedited due to the fact that the trial's coming up. So the answer is, I'm not sure. That's what the issue was. If it's been resolved, I have not yet been informed. When I am informed, I'll let you know. Yes, ma'am.
I thought we already allocated $2,000 towards this fund.
We all allocated $2,000 twice.
So
I'm
is
going
it-
to send you the letters explaining, I mean, they've gone through a lot of money, but they've got I say they, I mean, it includes us. I haven't gone to all of the meetings, but I've gone to a fair number of them. And there are, I can say this, I don't know that I could account for every penny, but it's a big job. I mean, they're fighting Fair Share Housing Center, which seems to have an unlimited amount of money that everybody says they're getting from the builders. I have no inside information, but that's the rumor. Then you have the builders, New Jersey Builders Association, which is funding its own money. And then you've got a number of other organizations that are also funding the other side of the litigation. And then against that, obviously, is the municipalities. And I can tell you this, you're getting, for the $4,000 that we've spent, I can promise you that you've gotten hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of legal services and planning services and expert witnesses and so forth. And if, God forbid, we ever should have to go to trial, we're going to need one of these experts. And the fact that it's a possibility that we could go to trial makes it more likely that we'll be able to settle the case on terms that are the most acceptable to you. I can't promise you that they're going to be acceptable, but that they're more likely to be acceptable the better position we're in litigation-wise. So that's my thinking today. We'll see whether that's still my thinking in 2 weeks, and you'll decide when you get all the information what you want to do.
I did read everything that they did provide, and it seemed like there was like $1 trillion worth of legal stuff attached to a very small amount of money.
It
So
didn't
we all
reach the
really-
trillion level
Well,
yet, but it's a
I'm
lot.
exaggerating, of course, but I mean, it was a lot. I read the whole thing and exactly what they provided
Right.
for the $2,000.
Mhm.
And from what I got from last night, it seemed to me that since they were moving forward and the resolution for the redevelopment was done, that the Victor did not feel that we should move forward on the other. That's what I got from last night. But to me, a small amount of money going towards any future, as far as this goes, to me would seem like money well spent.
Okay, well, I don't comment on comments that other people made that I haven't heard, so I won't comment on his question. But I will say that if you, I'm the one who's litigating it, so I can tell you what I know about it, and it's. I'm not saying that $2,000 is nothing. It's not. It's a significant amount of money, but it continues to make it possible for us to litigate the case that we don't want to litigate. But it's like if you're suing somebody and they just give up, then you have a tremendous advantage over that person or entity. If you're still in a position to put up a fight, then if you wind up settling, you're in a better settlement position. That's my thinking on it. You know, if you decide no, you decide no. That's up to you.
I agree with you though.
Okay.
Anyone else? Mr. Renard?
If I have anything else, I can't think of it right now. If I think of something, I'll raise my hand.
Please, thank you. Ms. Ariana?
The only thing I have, kids recreation grant, yay or nay? We talked about it last time, you guys tell me, yay or nay. Want to do something or not? I have to create a grant.
By the way, I'm sorry, I got to think of something. Are we doing we're doing an executive session later, are we?
That's,
No?
That's
Yes?
your part.
No? Okay. When you finish with this, I'll. Okay.
okay, that's all I have is kids recreation grant.
Didn't that go to buildings and grounds, Mayor?
No, this is the grant application.
Right.
Well,
But I thought
if it went to buildings and ground, you
I
guys
thought
are
it
supposed to
did,
give
to
me
discuss whether
direction tonight.
that committee thought so.
I
It
brought
did
up
last year as
I
well.
brought it up last council meeting, that the grant application is out there. We talked about the trees, we agreed to doing the trees. I said, you have to give me an answer last time whether or not you want to go with this. You have to prepare the application, so.
Right.
I thought we discussed that maybe that it was not feasible this time. Were we gonna put something on hold, or maybe I'm confusing it with something else?
No, I think you're right on point.
I think.
Basically, I feel the same as I did last year. Until we truly know where we want that money to go and we have a clear plan, I say we sit it out. Matching funds, that's,
Right,
that's
Need
how
a
I
plan
feel.
at the end of the day. I agree
Right.
with you.
Glad to know I wasn't losing my mind.
Well, let me just say that these grants come out with a little tiny bit of time for you to give them an answer. So I tell you as soon as I get it, it's only like 6 or 8 weeks before you have to give an answer. So if you know it's going to come again next year, if you're thinking about stuff, start talking about it, so you can be prepared that when it comes out next year, you have a plan.
Right.
Should you want to execute it.
Right.
Okay? So we'll just write them a letter that we're not going to participate this year. Everyone agree with that? Yes, you're not
Yes.
participating? Okay.
Thank you.
That's all, I don't.
Thank you, Ms. Ariano. Any unfinished business for the council?
Yeah, I have something, Mayor.
Yes, thank you.
What I forgot about. I have recommended to the administrator that we get your authorization to advertise for redevelopment council, special counsel in connection with the redevelopment project, and particularly in negotiating a redevelopment agreement. So that's my recommendation, at least to put out an RFQ and receive proposals that you can review and then decide what you want to do.
Okay, so seek proposals to have someone essentially help us better negotiate a potential agreement.
Correct.
I'm in favor of getting proposals.
Do we have a consensus for that?
Absolutely.
Yes, Mr. Minot, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, once again, unfinished business. I have a couple of things. Here are the updates on issues that were brought before the mayor and council at the last meeting. Excuse me. The van parked on the corner of Oak and Third, labeled Camera Police, is owned by the resident who lives on that particular corner. It is fully registered and legally parked. The missing street sign on the corner of Myrtle and West was caused by a motor vehicle accident. There's an official police report on file for that accident. I've made arrangements to make a representation of the Union County Mosquito Control Commission to make a presentation at the Garwood Senior Citizen Meeting. The program will be presented on Thursday, July 16th at 1:00 p.m. I've reached out to the Union County Department of Human Services to discuss the Seniors in Motion, part of the Union County initiative of One County, One Community for the 2016 agenda. Through this initiative, the county would provide a 12-passenger van. The participating municipality would be responsible for providing insurance, maintenance, and a qualified driver with a CDL license. I personally spoke to the director of the initiative and asked her if the van was wheelchair accessible, and she said no. She indicated that it was a need for that situation for an individual. She suggested that we secure the Union County Paratransit bus. Just a reminder, the borough currently owns its own bus that is wheelchair accessible. In my opinion, this is a good program, but it would not be in the best interest of all the control development. On miscellaneous topics, this past Friday, I had the pleasure of participating at the ribbon cutting at the new Food Emporium located at the former Pathmark site on South Avenue. Our Food Emporium is the first of its kind in the entire New Jersey. The store brings much employment for Garwood residents. The store manager is a resident of Garwood, and the store employs about 100 people. The majority of them come from the borough of Garwood. I am happy to announce that this mayor's Saturday schedule for July 15th has been canceled. The reason I am pleased is because the plans have been finalized with the Liquid Church to complete several projects in Garwood on the day what they are calling Summer Outreach Program. First and foremost, in my opinion, it is to give the Borough Hall and Council Chambers excuse me, a long overdue decorative facelift, not having been done in the past 30 years. They have also accepted the task of installing a horseshoe pit at the Garwood Sports and Recreation Complex, as well as adding a certified playground mulch in the area of the complex. That's all for my report. Any comments?
Mayor, I have one about the bus.
Yes, thank you.
Is the handicap feature used right now on our bus?
I don't think so. I don't know, but I would say yes.
I mean, that's what makes it a tough trade-off. I came into tonight saying, what a deal. You get a bus from the county and then you auction off the old one, but it seems like it's a no-go.
I almost prayed we asked for the money, but I didn't want to extend myself that.
Right. I saw that the second recommendation by Ms. Ariam on our memo was ask the county if Garwood can get the funds for something else instead of the van, but we could try.
Why can't we try?
I say we try.
I say they don't have.
Can we send a letter
Yeah.
to take it into consideration? Explain the situation about the wheelchair accessibility versus not, so we don't want to,
You're saying what exactly? You want to
I
send a
would
letter
like
to accept it?
We want to ask for
I would
money.
ask for the money, or at least a portion of it,
Yeah.
understanding our circumstance that we cannot give up a van that's wheelchair accessible for one that's not. And I know Ms. Ariam is a good letter writer, so. Worth a shot.
Absolutely.
Thanks for your support, council.
Always when it comes to money.
Similar thinking.
Okay. There's nothing else? Any new business?
Mayor,
Yes.
just so that it doesn't slip my mind, I know we had a discussion about the fire truck, and there was also discussion about putting it to a referendum at the voting booth. So it's $1 million expenditure. So I just want to make sure, I think it's got to be done and submitted by August. So I want to make sure there's enough time. It's non-binding, of course, but they said that we're going to put it forth at the voting booth, and I think that if we're going to do it in a timely manner, we should discuss
Sure.
that and move forward on it.
Our next step, Councilwoman, is to meet with the fire chief. The
Okay.
finance committee wanted to meet with him, discuss it a bit further, and I've reached out to them. We'll have a finance meeting soon, so.
Okay, now I need to say something.
Sure.
Mr. Nod, if they want to put something on the ballot, do you have to prepare a statement? Is it just a statement? If the council wants to put a question on the ballot to buy a fire truck or not buy a fire truck, does it have to be done by a bond? It's non-binding. What do you have to do? Because it has to be at the county clerk by August 19th, which does not give us a lot of time.
Well, I mean, somebody's got to prepare the question.
It's just a question, that's all we have to prepare, because I remember,
No, I'm saying, have you checked with the county clerk on what they require? Anybody check on what the
well,
requirements?
we had a question on the ballot before, and
I don't
you did all the work. It was an ordinance.
remember that either. How was it?
Well, I remember, you did everything. You prepared the question, you prepared the statement, you prepared everything. It was for LoSAP. And-
Oh, well, LoSAP was different.
Well,
LoSAP was different because there was a specific statute that prescribed how that worked and what, that the state told you what had to be, exactly what had to
Okay.
be on the ballot and so forth. So that's really. an
Well, I don't
entirely
recall any
different
other
situation.
referendum on the ballot, except for the school putting this,
This isn't a referendum.
Yeah.
It's what's called a public question, which is entirely different. So the answer is, I don't know off the top of my
so
head.
there's only 2 council meetings before August 19th, so that's all I have to say about it, just so you know, so nobody's surprised.
Okay, so
Only 2 council
we're
meetings.
talking about putting a question on the ballot as to what, do we know what the cost of it is?
About $1 million.
All right, I'll have to, we'll have to ask the county clerk's office exactly how specific it has to be. And then I don't think you can just put any old question on. I mean, I think it's got to have some specificity to it, so we'll have to look into it. I don't know off the top of my head what we need.
So, Mr. Arnott, if you look into that and the finance committee
I
meets, we
think
can have
I'll-
a discussion by the
I'll do
next
that.
meeting.
I can do that.
Okay.
And then,
That's great.
because,
Right.
I can do that.
I know. That's perfect. And so we should be able to have a discussion on this at the next council meeting. Okay.
Anything further? Moving on, comments and matters for discussion from members of council. Councilwoman Kukrow.
Nothing, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Martin is excused this evening. We'll move on. Councilman Matthew.
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Sarna.
Thank you, Mayor. I mean, the only things that I want to bring up, just kind of echoing what you were saying earlier about the Liquid Church and being here and painting all the walls here. I mean, I'll be here volunteering with the church, and I think it's a great thing. You can sign up with their website, and I totally encourage anyone that is interested to talk to me. I can put you in touch with the right people if you want to help out here or even at the park.
Just further clarification, those little white, yellow stickies means that they're coming down. This place will be totally empty on Saturday.
Right, but they're going back. The yellow sticky means that, if you see yellow sticky, that means it's going back in that spot. If you don't see yellow sticky, it's not going back in that spot.
Those are yellow stickies.
Right.
Well, they're not taking that down, they're painting
Oh.
around that. There's some things they're painting
Right,
around.
there's a lot of
Some
detail.
purple fixtures.
This is that wallpaper.
Yes, they're painting
Paint
over the
over.
wallpaper.
Right. And a good example is in the police department.
Yes, it looks really nice painted. We've got
They're gonna
nice.
prime, I'm sorry, they're gonna prime and color.
We'll get you a nice texture to it if you keep the
Yes.
wallpaper there.
Yes.
I took the recommendation from Ms. Arkin about painting over the tops. It looked very good.
The
You saw
professional,
it though.
No, I didn't.
the professional painter that came in last week was very positive.
Could I ask what color?
It's like a, did you see this color swatch?
Yes.
I didn't have the official color though.
I have it on.
It's
I'll
called
picture it.
stress-free yellow. Stress-free yellow.
like
no,
a-
no,
It's on timeout. Timeout.
It looks like, if you
It's
have
like a
memory of the
pale,
walls
um,
inside the main office, it's kind of like a light grayish, like,
Yeah. That's-
sort of like a very, very neutral, very,
That's what we want
very
for neutral,
calming.
just
very-
Give my 2 cents, blue is a soothing color. I'll give a vote for that. And I'd
Well,
like
the
to,
vote has been cast, I apologize.
and I'd like to vote, and I just, well, just get on the record, but I'd like to vote against any shades of red.
Oh, absolutely right. You're right. We have a consensus on that, Councilman.
It's just,
Thank you.
it's just,
Okay, Councilwoman Tedesco.
I just have one item, Mayor, that came through our packet. Maybe this is the time we discuss it. Regarding a planning board fee refund to Engreen. We received a memo, copy of the check, some more information, the ordinance and so forth. So it looks like our CFO sent us this memo.
well, I just need to say one thing, because I don't want there to be any confusion about this. The reason why it's before the whole council and on the agenda, and I can't find my copy, is because
That's mine.
the original letter that came to us was addressed to you, mayor and council.
Right.
Therefore, because this is kind of really not
Usually for the council.
exactly, but I just wanted you to understand, the letter that came from the planner was addressed to you, that Ms. Run's copied in here. So that's why her memo was addressed to you, and it's before you, and it's on there. That's why I say that. Because we don't generally talk about these things at council. I'm sorry, Councilman, you can continue.
Does the recommendation at the bottom still stand that perhaps it should be addressed by planning board?
And I believe it was last night. Mrs. Bruns did speak to Mr. Vinegar today, and he did tell her what, he told her that the applicant should be charged $75. Was anybody at the planning board meeting last night?
It was over there.
Does anybody remember that being discussed?
I don't remember it being discussed.
No.
But we do have, just so you know, we do have a regularly scheduled meeting later this month. So it can't go on that, can't go on that.
I'm very confused, because I was told that you guys discussed it,
I don't remember it.
and,
I don't remember it being discussed.
but, okay, well
I'll
then,
throw
let
it to
it,
the
let
chair.
it, let it go to the board then, and come back to us that way, yeah? I thought you discussed it last night. I don't know, I thought the planning board discussed it, but,
Anything else, Councilwoman?
That's all I had, I just wanted to follow through.
Sandy can't release money unless you tell her to, that's what she's
Okay.
trying to make you understand. She
Right.
can't just give money to people.
Point taken, I'll follow up.
Thank you.
Eventually, you're gonna need a resolution.
Yep.
Right.
Okay, Councilperson Petroselli.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, the only thing I need to make everybody aware of is that we're having another issue with the 2002 garbage truck. So I'm going to read a portion of the email that was sent to me from our DPW superintendent. Just so everyone is aware, the 2002 International garbage truck went in yet again for engine repairs and a major coolant leak. There is a high idle issue, and it's a major safety concern since the truck will idle up while on garbage route and begin to move without touching the accelerator. In addition, due to the high idle, the truck will not go into reverse, so the truck has to be shut down and restarted numerous times to switch gears. The repair facility has had the truck for over a week to diagnose and repair at the cost of approximately $2,400. This is the third time that the truck has been repaired for the same issue. And Clint says, feel free to contact him with any questions. So I just want to make sure everyone is aware that this truck is still an issue for them, and it's certainly becoming a major safety concern.
So I have a comment on that, Mayor. So I'm just, is the truck now unsafe to be operated in the borough?
It sounds like by that email.
Yeah, then it's not, in my book, it should be taken out of service.
According to my understanding, it's like a repair shop.
Fine, consider that, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know how that's a council decision. If a piece of equipment is unsafe, I don't know why the council is being asked to go ahead and make a determination on its safety. I'm not done speaking, Mayor. Mayor, I'd be very disappointed if you were allowing a unsafe truck to be operated in the borough. So I really would love if you could go ahead and get back to us as soon as possible, because if there is an unsafe truck being operated in the borough, it should cease immediately, regardless of whatever decision the council makes.
You are correct, and we will not operate that on the streets, but I'm assuming at this moment that it's at the shop, and I'll find that first thing tomorrow morning.
It's being repaired for the safety issue.
Right.
And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but Mayor, maybe just from where I'm sitting, I'm not hearing you, but to me, it doesn't seem like you're interrupting the councilman, so hearing Mayor, I'm not finished yet twice already, it's a little,
I appreciate that,
It's just-
thank you.
I think the man was trying to speak, that's all, and he wanted to do it in a clear manner, that's all.
Let's just, we'll pass on this, please. Okay, do you have a motion to adjourn this meeting? Oh, sorry.
they've sat there now.
Yeah, I even commented with it. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the mayor and council? Please step to the microphone, state your full name and address. Please limit your minutes to 3, please.
Thank you. Really had 2 questions, and now there's a third. First, I was totally confused with your discussion about shade trees. Your discussion didn't affect what's on the agenda as far as resolution 16235. That's still good. Okay, good, thank you. Number 2, fire truck. I don't know anything about it until what I heard tonight, but I would encourage council to give another thought. Okay, you do have a redevelopment coming down the road, and while one has to be careful that you don't act beyond the scope of the law in terms of what you can require a development to do, I will state this. The borough can obtain a fire truck, okay, at that developer's cost. And if you need to speak to your council about it, or you need to speak to the planning board, I don't think this borough has to spend $1 million on a fire truck if the council who prepares the redevelopment agreement. If you're aware of the redevelopment agreement, that comes much later. There are certainly things you can do. So I would recommend to you, and I'm not going to be your attorney, but I recommend to this council that you investigate how that is done. And I don't really think this borough has to put out $1 million if the council does your homework properly.
So I didn't think that we were allowed to do that.
Well, you need to be careful, and I don't want to get into detail, but I would encourage you to speak to those who can advise you accordingly. And there are ways to do that. I encourage you to look into it. The third thing, I was just really amazed when I just heard about the garbage truck. Didn't this council have an opportunity to purchase a garbage truck not too long ago? Wasn't that like a bonding question or something? I don't pretend to remember the details.
Yes, they did.
And didn't this council decide not to do that? And now we have, as Councilman Matthew stated, an unsafe truck. I think Councilman Matthew opposed the purchase of the new truck. Am I wrong in that?
I don't think so.
So, and I don't know the details. Can I just ask you?
I also.
So we have, and I don't, like I said, I apologize, I don't pretend to know the details.
Okay.
All that I'm saying is I remember reading that there was a proposal to bond it for a garbage truck, and that it was voted down, and now we have an unsafe truck. Councilman Matthew made a point of not being on the street. Well, maybe we have an unsafe truck because we need to buy a new truck. I would encourage council to perhaps reconsider that concern that was raised.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd just like to clarify my statement. I really hope that, I didn't say that the truck was unsafe, and we've got to be very careful with what comes back from your finding, Mayor. I would like to know why the DPW superintendent and you, Mayor, would be allowing an unsafe piece of equipment to be operated.
At this point, we're not allowing anything, we've got to research what's going on.
Okay, so you're not of the opinion that the truck is unsafe at this moment?
No, I'm of the opinion it's in the garage right now, it's not being utilized, it's being repaired.
No, Mr. Matthew, I wasn't confused about that. Perhaps there was confusion on the day, but what I heard was that it's been in for a week. That's what I heard, that it's been in the shop, costing $2,400 for repair. for diagnosis. That's what I heard.
I heard unsafe
I heard unsafe also.
from Mr. Petrozelli.
Please, no comments. You can step up to the microphone if you
Okay.
can, thank you.
So I encourage, my comment here is I encourage the council, if indeed we have a 2002 truck that the superintendent of public works has already recommended be replaced, and that was not, I wrote it down, as council reconsider that.
Thank you.
So that we're not in a position of discussing an unsafe truck.
Hi. Paulette Matthew, 324 Pine Avenue. I heard you say the truck was deemed unsafe. All right, please don't lie. Say what you have to say, have an
Please
opinion,
don't.
don't. Please do not lie. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Matt Anadelli, 332 Spruce Avenue. I just wanted to make myself available if you guys had any questions. But I'll just give you a little rundown as to the whole scenario. We've been in Garwood 7 years. We put our house up on the market in May. At that time, we saw the house, the property on 609 East. In walking the survey that was provided to us from the owners, it looked like it cut the yard in half, so basically no yard. So at that point in late May, I reached out to Tina, and then later on with Donna to figure out what could be done. First, we looked at if the variance was needed, yada, 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 got to the part where we had to get our own survey done for that property, and then bring it back to Don to review and see, what the issues were. So that, we have an agreement in place with the owners, but it's contingent on the availability of this property. Since we have a 2-year-old and a dog, we need the yard fenced in. So that's really where we stand now. We close on our sell at the end of July, maybe mid-August. So that's why it is time sensitive, but I just wanted to give you guys feedback and if you had any questions about it at all. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
I know you're waiting for
Yes, sir.
it. Good evening, Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, Council. Bruce Patterson, 325 Willow Avenue. First, through you, Mayor, to Don. They had a fire hydrant in front of my house that they moved a couple of feet, the water company. Anyway, the new paving that they put in near the curb is collapsing, and there's a hole, kind of looks like, something must have collapsed under the new paving, so I don't know if Don does something or I have to do something. What's the procedure?
What's your address?
325. Come on.
Mr.
Tell me
Guerrero,
why.
how many years have you been in, Mr. Guerrero?
This is the first time he listened.
Great.
Oh, you'll,
I'll notify the board.
okay, thank you very much. The horseshoe pit that the Liquid Church is graciously going to be putting together at the rec complex, which is very, very nice. The question is, I understand, there's safety issues because there's heavy horseshoes, and then, of course, the clang, there's a lot of noise. Is somebody taking great care as to the location of it? Where it should be?
Yes.
Who's determining that?
Was the president of the rec commission and myself.
Okay. Could you at least point out where it may be?
It's in the back. It's in the back end past the playground equipment.
Oh, behind it? Yeah.
Yeah, right, adjacent to the fence. There's that narrow path there. Fits in there perfectly.
And the noise?
And it will be right, yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna personally donate rubber horseshoes. I'm serious.
Oh, okay.
For kids, you never know for safety.
All right. That's nice. The bocce ball court will remain where it is.
That's correct.
And just the last thing, this is an interesting meeting because a lot of things are coming out about the government is seeming to now be edging over the edge, falling apart at the seams. There's a lot of issues here in the state of New Jersey. It is a concern for everybody. Somehow government on all levels, and I'm not going to include government on all levels, has lost purpose of what the government is supposed to be. We're looking at such a mishmash of whenever a contingent of people are, start chirping away, oh yeah, let's throw money over there and over here, and just that's why our taxes are so high. And we are one of the highest taxed states. And yet now they're looking at the lowest tax that we have, the gas tax, and they want to increase increase that. Yes, our transportation trust fund is in trouble, there's no doubt about that, but how did it get in trouble? And that's part of the problem in the last 20 years. I've been observing and watching the government for the last 20 years. And it just doesn't get any better. And now we're talking about the county, my wonderful people at the county, and they want to give out all these vans. Great idea, that was Chair Bergen's initiative this year, Seniors in Motion, and yet seniors are a lot of times handicapped, and yet it won't be handicap accessible. We're talking about turning down grants from the county because of matching, you know, and it was a great suggestion, Councilwoman Tedesco, about asking for money in lieu of the van. I mean, that isn't great, and anywhere else but this county, I bet you probably would get it, but talking to the idiots down there, the freeholders, and I'm using that term pretty describing.
Are you going to summarize, Mr. Patterson, please?
Yes, the idiots down there, God bless you, give it your best shot. But we all know the answer. They're intractable, they're hard-headed. It's their way or the highway, except that we just can't go the highway. We're stuck here with them as the county.
Thank you. Anyone else like to step forward? Seeing none? Yes.
I just want to clarify the second sentence here, in part of the email that was sent to me. There is a high idle issue that is a major safety concern. That's it. That is part of that second sentence.
Thank you. Seeing none, I'd like to have a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mayor?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Would you like to just continue on?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I would like to offer a moment of silence to the police officers who were killed and wounded, and we must not forget their families in those troubled times in Dallas, Texas, and in the United States of America. Please rise for a moment of silence.
Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I note notice of this meeting was provided to the Westfield Leader, Union County local source, advertised on January 7, 2016. Notification was sent to the Star Ledger and promptly posted on the Municipal Public Bulletin Board, filed in the office of the Municipal Clerk, informing the public in time and place according to the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Law, Chapter 231, PL 1975. Everyone, please turn off your electronic devices or put them on silent. Roll call, Ms. Ariano.
Mayor Lombardo?
Here.
Councilman Kugro?
Here.
Councilman Martin?
Excused.
Councilman Matthews?
Here.
Councilman Sardo?
Here.
Councilman Tedesco?
Here.
And Council President Petroselli.
Here.
Ms. Ariano, minutes.
Regular and workshop minutes of the Mayor and Council held on June 28th.
Do you have a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ariano, Communications.
New Jersey State League of Municipalities Mayor's Advisory.
Receiving file.
Russell Fox, FEMA Region, Zika virus information.
Receiving file.
And Sandy Rollins Planning Board republication.
Receiving file. Public hearing on ordinance 16-13 advertised on June 30th, 2016. Ms. Ariano, please read the ordinance by title only, please.
An ordinance to establish a restricted parking zone pursuant to NJSA 39-4197.6 and 3464 Avenue in the Borough of Berlin.
Do you have any correspondence concerning ordinance 16-13?
None, Mayor.
Does anyone present wish to be heard on ordinance 16-13? I have a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance 16-13.
So moved.
Second.
Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 16-13?
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 16-13, Mayor.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please, Ms. Ariano.
Councilman Kukrow.
Yes.
Councilman Matthews.
Aye.
Councilman Sarno.
Aye.
Councilman Fiesco.
Aye.
Council President Petrozelli.
Aye. Moving on, Ms. Ariemma, please read ordinance 16-14 by title only.
Mr. Mayor, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of new, additional, or replacement equipment and machinery consisting of fingerprint machine upgrade equipment for the use of the police department and self-contained breathing apparatus equipment for use of the fire department and appropriating the sum of $36,500 from the capital improvement fund to finance the cost thereof.
We have a motion to introduce ordinance 16-14.
Second.
Roll call, please, Ms. Ariemma.
Councilman Kukrow.
Yes.
Councilman Martin. Sorry. Councilman Matthews.
Aye.
Councilman Sarno.
Aye.
Councilman Tedesco.
Aye.
And Council President Petrozelli.
Aye. Thank you. We'll move on to council standing committees, reports and other reports. Police, Councilman Sarno.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you. Public Health, Councilwoman Kukrow.
No report, Mayor. Our next meeting is in September.
Thank you. Streets and Roads, Council President Petrozelli.
Thank you, Mayor. The Department of Public Works completed the following from June 29th to July 11th. The DPW performed their regular activities. In addition to their regular miscellaneous activities, they were elevate and prune the shade trees along the following streets: the 400 block of Locust Avenue, areas of 2nd Avenue. Clean up and perform landscape maintenance at Hartman Park for the new sign dedication and install the new sign. Move boxes of old files from Cranford to Borough Hall and storage facility for the administrator. Perform major pothole repairs on the following locations: Casal parking lot entrance, fire department driveway, Center Street northbound at underpass, sections of 4th and Hazel Avenues, and 2 tons of hot mix were used for these repairs. That's all for my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Any comments?
Mayor, just a quick comment. I can say it on behalf of the Historical Committee. Thank you to the DPW for cleaning up the area in advance of the unveiling this past weekend. Also, they were able to remove a very unsightly garbage can, which was very key for the photo op, and just in general, it was really not a nice looking garbage can, so it was appreciated that they got to it this past week and took care of that. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on. Fire, Councilwoman Kukrow.
Thank you, Mayor. Fire activities. There were 13 incidents, 3 alarm activations, 2 blown transformers, 1 utility pole hit, 1 burning odor, 3 mutual aid to Roselle Park, 1 hour, Elizabeth, 7 hours. Total man hours was 70 all alarms. 2016, 6 months of mutual aid incidents, 22 calls, total 121 man hours. Meeting, 22 men, 33 hours. The drill, driver and pump training, hydrant hookups, hose evaluations, evolutions, deck gun and blitz nozzle, deployment 18 men, 3 junior firefighters, 63 hours, officer training, incident command system, 2 men, 40 hours, extra duty, wake funeral, Mr. Severage, 30 men, 90 hours, extra duty public service, PTA color run, 3 men, 6 hours, picnic, 3 men, 2 hours, and a can trailer, 3 men, 5 hours. That's all for my report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments on the fire report? Hearing none. Finance, Councilwoman Tedesco.
No report, Mayor. We'll be meeting soon.
Thank you. Buildings and Grounds, Councilman Matthew.
No report, Mayor. The matter of the athletic field expenses, we're going to consider that while the report and recommendation for the next meeting.
Thank you. Laws and License, Councilman Martin. Right? We'll move on to Garwood Senior Citizen Liaison, Councilwoman Kukrow.
I know you're going to find this very hard to believe and be very upset, but I have no report today, Mayor. Our meeting is next week.
I assume Council President Petrozelli will do the library report for you.
That would be wonderful. Thank you, Mayor.
Speaking of that, Library's Mayor Representative, Council President Petrozelli.
Thank you, Mayor. It's hot outside, so come in and cool off at the library. Relax, read a paper, a magazine, or check Facebook on our Wi-Fi. You can take home the New York Times bestsellers like 15th Affair by James Patterson or Weekenders by Mary Kay Andrews, or check out the new DVDs. Watch Zootopia or Tina Fey's Whiskey Tango Foxtrot in your own air-conditioned home. All adults who check out a book can be entered. It's supposed to be win. to win a summer gift basket. This past Wednesday at the library was our second Wacky Olympic Wednesdays. Athletes completed in a straw javelin throw and the paper airplane toss. The lucky winners were given gold, silver, and bronze medals at an award ceremony. This Tuesday, July 12th at 2 p.m., the library will present You Are Who You Eat. This program features frogs, scorpions, snakes, and turtles. Kids will learn how these animals find and catch their food and how they avoid becoming food for other animals. On Wednesday, July 13th at 2 p.m., we will be showing the movie Kung Fu Panda 3. Every Thursday in July is Lego Club at 3 p.m. No registration is required. Garwood is going to Chipotle. Lots of kids have already received a free meal at Chipotle. They will continue to eat free each time they log in 2 or more hours of summer reading. This is thanks to the State Library and Chipotle Summer Reading Initiative. A Garwood read deserves a good feed. Coupons redeemable for a free kids meal, chips, and a drink at any Chipotle restaurant. Summer hours for the library started the first week in July. The weekday hours of the library will remain unchanged. However, the library will be closed on Saturdays during July and August. Regular Saturday hours will begin again on Saturday, September 10th, after Labor Day. That's all for my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Council President. Any comments?
No, thank you.
School Board Liaison, Councilman Sarno.
No report, Mayor. Next meeting will be in August.
Thank you. Celebration of public events and holidays liaison, Councilwoman Tedesco.
Thank you, Mayor. The Celebrations Committee will not be meeting over the summer, but I do encourage everyone to mark their calendars for Movie Under the Stars on Friday, September 9th at dusk, with a rain date of the following day, September 10th. The movie will be Minions. And again, thank you to Spencer Savings Bank, the Greater Westfield Area Chamber of Commerce, and the Borough for sponsoring this event. And that's all for my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Any comments? None. Union County Air Traffic Noise Advisory Board Representative, Councilman Matthew.
No report, Mayor. Next meeting, September.
Thank you. Administrative Review Committee, Councilwoman Tedesco.
No report, Mayor.
Historical Committee, Councilwoman Tedesco.
Thank you, Mayor. This past Saturday, the new sign at Hartman Park on 2nd Avenue was unveiled. The raindrops held off and the small ceremony followed. The family of Harry E. Hartman, including his daughter, her children, and her grandchildren, attended, and it was a touching tribute to his life and provided time for reminiscing about the good old days of Garwood. Harry E. Hartman loved serving Garwood from both on and off the council. As a member of council, he was very fond of the street department, and they even awarded him with a garbage can to show their appreciation for his friendship and work on their behalf. Mr. Hartman was also the first Grand Knight of our local Knights of Columbus. In addition to the Hartman and, well, really the McMahon family and the Historical Committee, the Mayor, Council President Petrozelli, Councilwoman Kukrow, 2 Board of Education members, Kathleen Patterson and Kim Ficara attended. Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Teresa Quigley, also came by and shared how the kindergarten children use Hartman Park daily, and how she is eager to now be able to share the history of Mr. Hartman with the children. She looks forward to sharing the lessons of community service, and when you do not first succeed at something, try again, because although Mr. Hartman did not win his first election to council, he did not give up, but instead ran again and won the second time. Thank you to the Historical Committee for seeing this through and continuing the mission of bringing greater attention to the rich history of our borough. And at our last meeting, right before the Hartman ceremony, it was decided the committee would likely break for the rest of the summer and hit the ground running again come September to continue an even more active role in preserving Garwood's history. And that's all for my report.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any comment? I see there's no officers report this evening. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the mayor and council? Please.
Wait. Did I miss something? Yes, I'll
Okay.
I did.
Council wish to step to the microphone, state your full name and address. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Seeing none, we'll move on. Unfinished business, the consent agenda.
We missed it.
Make it quick.
You may not want to hear it.
I may not
I
want
thought you were
to.
sitting this round out.
Forgive me. Good evening, Mayor Lombardo, ladies and gentlemen of the council, Bruce Patterson, 325 Little Avenue. No, the Hartman Park sign And the Guerriero fields, baseball field sign. And they were both actually made by the county sign department at a very low cost. The Guerriero sign was $100, the Heartland Park sign was $75, and those signs probably would cost retail, private enterprise, probably about $300 possibly. So I mean, it's not like the county are the enemy. I mean, they do help out. I mean, I compliment them when they deserve it. So, but anyway, I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you.
And I do thank the county.
And I will pass that on to them.
Yeah,
Thank you
and I
very
thank
much.
Sarah for her report and for the help of everybody for our two ceremonies.
Yes.
And then on a more negative note, now the planning board last night had a special meeting, and again, I've been observing, like I said, government for 20 years, and every once in a while, there seems to be that government loses focus, and this special planning board meeting that was called did not need to be called. There is a regular meeting at the end of this month that they could have easily transacted the business. I asked Chair Green just what was the urgency, and he did not answer about any urgency or immediacy that was needed, but he did answer that it was his prerogative, that he can call the special meeting. Maybe it is, but to tell you the truth, he should have never called it. I think he had a flawed judgment on that one. He actually had Dell, the secretary, have to scramble to get all the members together. The public had to scramble to come to this public meeting because it wasn't advertised. It was a lot of wasted time, resources, and money from the taxpayers. I think it was a flawed judgment on his part, and I'm very disappointed in him. There are other issues I really have of his that I couldn't list here, but I really won't. But I suggest you seriously think about maybe censuring him for what he did with this meeting, because it was wrong, it should have been held. And the irony of all this is now the regular planning board meeting is canceled, where the business should have been.
I don't believe that's true, but I'll leave it at that. As of this moment, it's not.
I think there was one thing on the agenda.
That's
There is
correct,
one thing.
Councilwoman.
Okay, so we should have had this meeting anyway. I mean, it should have been joined in with the rest of the business. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I really get tired of speaking after Mr.
Just make sure,
Say 320 Hickory Avenue.
just make sure you direct your thoughts to the council, please.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Mayor. With all due respect to what Mr. Patterson said, he is right in one regard. It is the prerogative of the chairman to call for the meeting. That resolution that was adopted, memorialized last night, was something that the planning board acted on a month ago, I believe. It was simply the intent of the chair to have that action, which is an important action, forwarded to council as soon as possible. It is absolutely his decision. In terms of Adele, the board secretary, running around, I think it consisted of sending out 2 emails asking when people were available. So I believe that the chairman acted properly in advancing an important matter to council, and it was the right thing to do. The idea of censure, I think, hold my tongue. I find that absurd.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to adopt the consent agenda, Mayor.
Second.
Roll call, please, Ms. Ariano.
Councilman Kukrow.
Yes.
Councilman Mackey.
Aye.
Councilman Sarno.
Aye.
Councilman Disco.
Aye.
Council President Petrozelli.
Aye.
I have it. Yes, I do.
Okay. Go right ahead.
Resolution 16239, be it resolved by the Council of the Borough of Broward County, Union State of New Jersey, that the municipal clerk be and hereby authorized to prepare a request for proposals to solicit proposals from qualified firms for professional services for a redevelopment attorney for the purpose of providing legal counsel pursuant to the redevelopment plan proposed for South Avenue. That's all.
Do I have a motion for 16-239?
I'll make a
It's
motion.
not on the agenda.
Yep.
That's right.
I will make that motion, Mayor.
Have a second?
Second.
All right.
we have discussion on that?
In the past, when we solicited like special purpose resolutions like this, we've usually put a limitation on the amount of money initially. So
I
I'm
would
just
put that,
wondering,
you would put that in the resolution of award, not in the.
not in the,
spec.
not on the RFQ?
No, the RFQ is gonna come in, and the attorney's gonna give you a rate, then you're gonna say, okay, this guy's gonna charge $100 an hour, let's say we think this thing's gonna come to $100, I'm just guessing. Then resolution of award would say not to exceed X amount of dollars, you guys say, we'll hire this guy, but we don't want to spend more than $5,000. That's what it'll say, and then if you're gonna spend more than $5,000, I gotta amend that.
We have to.
Right, so
Okay.
you're gonna get proposals to look at, they're gonna give you rates based on their qualifications.
And then we pay it, and we authorize payments in installments.
Yeah.
That's answering my question, thank you.
Yeah, at that time, you would wanna know what you wanna put on there.
Roll call.
Councilman Kukrow,
Yes.
Councilman Matthew,
Aye.
Councilman Sarno, Councilman Tedesco,
Aye.
and Council President Petrozelli.
Aye.
Thank you. New business, as presented before, the mayor's certificate of award to Michael Ulicki. I am making a change on the administrative review committee. I'm replacing Councilman Martin with Councilwoman Kukrow, and the meetings will commence in September. Move on to payment of claims.
Can I ask, Mayor, why are you doing that change?
Well, basically, we're going to start in September, and there are some issues that might carry over into the new year, and I just thought that since Councilman is not seeking re-election, we're doing a controversial, it's kind of on the council to be appropriate. Okay. We'll move on to payment of claims.
Be it resolved that the following claims as approved be, and the same are hereby ordered paid and properly signed and verified, and the payment of payrolls as listed hereby confirmed and ratified.
Do I have a motion to adopt payment of claims?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Ms. Ariano.
Councilman Kukrow,
Yes.
Councilman Matthews,
Aye.
Councilman Sarno,
Aye.
Councilman Tedesco,
Aye.
and Council President Petrozelli.
Aye. Thank you. The regular meeting of the Mayor and Council will be held on Tuesday, July 26, 2016, in Council Chambers at 7:15 p.m. Workshop session will start at 7 p.m. There will be a public hearing in Council Chambers on ordinance number 16-14 on Tuesday, July 26, 2016, at 7:15 p.m. or sooner thereafter. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Never make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night, thank you.